in layman terms, you can say that it is basically collecting, manipulating, tabulating data and giving the company to the insights to increase their sales and profits.
Well, that's pretty insightful. But I have another question.
And curiosity kills the cat.
Well, at least satisfaction can bring it back.
Okay, all right. Listen, to bring it back, there's a saying, a jack of all trades and master of none. Although this is conceptually correct, but a consultant at Oralytics, Mr. Brendan Tierney, suggests that when it comes to data science, we need to use modified terms, that is, a jack of all trades and master of some.
Well, all right, I agree. But let's not waste any more of our time and learn from some of the masters of data science. So, well, we are very excited to have collaborated with Mad Over Data. And without further ado, I'll again introduce the guest. So I'll be handling the platform over to the guest, Mr. Rishikesh, and Mr. Ashwin, and Mr. Ayusha. Thank you for your precious time, and we welcome you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Kushal, I think you are on mute.
Hey guys, I think really you can continue with the questions you all have.
Hello, sir. I was wondering if you would explain something and then we would continue with the question answer session, or should I just start?
I think you should just ask questions so it will become more interactive and then all things can be covered.
Okay, all right. So we students have certain questions and we have pulled them together. So my first question is, what skill sets increases the chances of recognition of a data scientist? Or in other words, what gives an edge or what makes an applicant stand out from the pool?
Ashwin, if you could help us with this.
Sure. Okay. So let's first understand what are the basic skill sets that are really required in order to do a job in analytics. Today, what has happened is that no matter what functional area you're working in, what industry you're working in, they all require you to be good in analytics. And analytics, I know, we just went through a very comprehensive definition, but I always like to define analytics as something very basic. Analytics is whenever we analyze data in order to solve any problem, that is analytics. The techniques that we use in order to do that set of techniques is called data science. And I always like to keep that definition this simple, that hey, if you are analyzing data, that is data analytics. Now, what are the kind of skill sets that are required? Now, I remember 15 years back when I started working in the industry, we used to work on spreadsheets. So we would have to get good at Excel. And Excel itself, in a lot of ways, was sufficient as a tool in order to do data mining and start identifying patterns. Of course, at that time, if the data size is more, there were other tools like SAS and SPSS available as well. But Excel was doing a lot of data crunching itself. Now, what has happened over the last 15 years, what has evolved over the last 15 years is that the amount of data that we are supposed to analyze has increased drastically. And what that does is that it means that you need to have specialized tools and specialized techniques in order to do that kind of data analysis. Excel is no longer capable of mining, of analyzing, of crunching this sort of data, the kind of GBs and TBs of data that we have to analyze in order to find the patterns. And that's where other languages, other tools come into picture. For example, the programming language R or Python. Both these languages, and you need to know only one of them, they help you crunch this data in a faster, very efficient manner. And that's one of the skill sets that is required today, that is expected today, that a data science student is or a data science professional is supposed to have. So coding language of and R or Python are being the favorites right now in the industry. They are one aspect of it. The other aspect is that when you start analyzing data, what are you trying to do? You're trying to identify patterns and you're trying to predict future. And in order to do any kind of prediction, you need to analyze these lot of data points, use certain statistical techniques. Statistics is the branch of mathematics that deal into these, where we start combining numbers and see how these set of numbers behave. So statistics is what becomes another critical component of becoming a good data scientist or becoming a data science professional. The kind of techniques that you use in order to look at the historical data and to do a future forecast, that all of that is part of statistics. So that's the second one. So first one that we saw was coding languages R and Python, and the primary purpose of using code is so that you can analyze data faster, more efficient. The second is statistics. Now statistics is what tells you what techniques to use in order to do a more intelligent analysis and to derive a conclusion that can be used in business. And that brings us to the third component, which is the output, the dashboarding tools. Now, if I'm a data scientist and I'm working on huge sets of data and I'm trying to solve a problem, I'm not going to really take that 1,000 lines of code and go to my CEO or go to my client. I'm going to show him something very specific, something very distinct and actionable. And in order to do that, in order to do a better job of presenting output, we use a lot of dashboarding tools like Power BI, Tableau, ClickView. All of these tools are very similar. All of the dashboarding tools are very similar, but they do provide an edge in terms of really cleaning up the analytics to an extent that anyone, even from a non-technical background, purely from a business background, is able to look at the output and understand and decide what to do next, what to do based on this data analytics. So that's the third component. So one was the coding language R or Python. Second was statistics. Third is the dashboarding tools, which is Power BI, Tableau, ClickView. And the fourth component, I keep on insisting this is the most important piece, is the business understanding of the client. So if you're working with a bank to solve a problem related to the bank, you need to understand how a bank really works, what matters to the bank, what is a revenue for a bank, what is an expense for the bank. All of these things mean that you need to understand the business domain that the client is operating in. So that is the fourth most important, important component of becoming a good data scientist. If you want to become a professional in the field of data science, in the field of analytics, I think these four components are the ones that you have to really get proficient in. Now, you may have strength in one of those or two of those and then not really strong in the other ones, but these are the four ones that you would regularly deal with. If you're part of a data science team, you would have people who would have a stronger skill sets in one of these four and a basic understanding of all four of these skill sets. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, sir. Sir, as you mentioned that statistics is one of the important components of this, my next question is, what benefit do students who are having majors in statistics or math have over those professionals who are from engineering and who are transitioning into data science?
Ayush, you want to take this?
Yeah. So different people with different educational backgrounds bring in different advantages, or they have some familiarity with different things. Somebody who is already a statistics major, okay, would know the statistical concepts, okay, but may or may not always know the application of those statistical concepts. So you are, in a sense, as a data scientist, you are still trying to solve a business problem. So you need to apply statistical concepts to solve for that business problem. You may be aware of those concepts, but you may still not be aware of what to do with those concepts. Okay, the application part of it. Similarly, for an engineering background student, And there are many engineering branches, but let's assume that he is a computer engineer and is familiar with coding, okay, is familiar with R or Python. He or she may be able to actually write the code, okay, maybe proficient in writing Python scripts or R codes, but that doesn't mean that they know how to do data science projects on Python and R. You know, coding in a language is very different from trying to use that language as a tool to solve a problem. Very different skill sets, and it is very easy for somebody who is not who's not from an engineering background or from a statistic background. It is very easy for them to also pick up Python. It's a very easy language, one, and two, you need to be very focused in how you study statistics. As somebody who's coming from outside, you need to know more about the application of certain statistical concepts that would be applied in real life business scenarios. You don't want to get and become a statistics major. All you want to do is make sure that you can apply so that your results are valid and acceptable. And that is the only reason you're trying to use statistics, so that you can figure out what are the patterns out in the business. Okay, so all of that combined with, of course, business sense and the business problem that you're trying to solve. So there is no actual advantage that one has over the other, unless they can actually apply whatever they've learned to solve that particular business problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sir. There's a question from a student asking, like, after MBA Tech Computer, can one have a career in this? And to add to this, I also have one more question. How diverse is data science? What all applications do we have for this field?
Hey, Rishikesh, if you would take this question, and then we can take a follow-up from Ashwin.
Sure. Let me start, and I just want to quickly give another statement, and what Ayush was saying about statistics students versus engineering students, and somewhat of a philosophical statement. After 10 years, 15 years, you'll realize that your background mattered when you entered an organization or when you started your work. After 10 years, you'll realize that it's only your love, your passion for a particular subject. So I would say both are equal. Doesn't matter whether you're just an engineer or just a statistician. But I think Ashwin talked to you about what are the requirements, the 4 requirements. If you're good at 1 or 2, and if you really excel in that, you will do very well. Yeah, the other 2 you may not be strong in the other 2 categories, but even if you're strong in 1 or 2, I'm sure you'll do very well. Doesn't matter if you're just a background having statistics or engineering. Coming to this specific question, I think the gamut of analytics is huge. As consultants and researchers, we work in multiple sectors, and in each of the sectors, there is so much of today there is so much of requirement for some intelligent decisions to be taken. A simple example can be in healthcare, where doctors are trying to understand what is causing cancer. Just to give you an example. So what they do is they have collected data, or they try to collect data over the last 50 years, 100 years, and try to link the key causes of cancer. Yeah. So the question, I think, is very generic when you ask that how wide is analytics. As I said, in everyday life you have analytics. So forget the sectors. In everyday life, you can use analytics. And as we move forward, as the human race progresses, I see analytics to be what Excel or PowerPoint was 15 years back. Someone just talked about Excel. 15 years back, we would be given special training in Excel. If I had Excel skills, I will get a job faster than someone else, right? But today, PowerPoint, Excel, Word is taught in school. It's given. Similarly, another 10, 15 years, I would see analytics to be given. Student or any employee joining an organization must know about it. So that's the range of analytics is the way I would answer this question. Would you
Thank
like
you so
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's one more student who's asking the importance of online courses offered in data science for our professional career and understanding. So he's asking the importance of these courses. How relevant are these courses?
Hey Ayush, if you could take, as you are also a mentor to Boston Institute of Analytics, if you could answer this question, it will be really great.
Okay. It all depends on the student. Okay. Whether you are comfortable in an online course as opposed to a classroom course. The learning is very different in an online teaching environment as opposed to a classroom teaching environment. I'm pretty sure everybody in your college has already realized that by now. And that too in an online pre-recorded sessions. Okay, there are a lot of courses where the syllabus has already been created. Okay, so it is very good for somebody who already is from that background to do a refresher online course. It makes sense for somebody from that background to do that. But if somebody is completely new into this field and wants to do wants to learn or get into this field, I personally would suggest a classroom based course or a live online course. Otherwise the learning is not as much as as you would want, and there would always be some questions in the back of your mind which would not get resolved. So this is the pro and con. Depending on your background, depending on where you come from, depending on what your education qualification is, or how comfortable you are with the subject that you're learning, it will have to be an individual decision. But if you're starting completely new into this field, I would suggest you go for a classroom-based course.
And see, the analytics jobs, the data science jobs are very skill-based jobs. These are not theory-focused jobs that if you know a certain concepts, you do well in the jobs. These jobs are not like that. And hence, what is also happening is that the kind of work that we are doing today is very different from what we used to do 2 years back or 3 years back. So there's a continuous learning element to it. Now, if someone asks that should I do any online course for learning data science, I would say absolutely, you should do online course versus what, right? If you're not going to learn anything, sure, as compared to that, you do an online course. If they're serious about entering the field, then I would say that, hey, don't just do an online course, do an online course from a reputed place which works very closely with industry. Because most, what happens with most academic institutions is that they teach the kind of stuff that was used that is no longer being used in the industry. That was probably used in the industry 15 years back, 20 years back, but is no longer relevant. Data science is fast-paced industry, it changes very quickly. And hence, you have to stay up to date with the industry. You have to work in cahoots with the industry in order to learn exactly the kind of things that you have to apply to. From that frame of mind, I would say that you should do online course. You should do do it from a good institute. If you're really serious about it, do a classroom-based course. Where you are going to be interacting with not only your instructors, with your trainers, but also with industry veterans who are going to come and talk to you about what kind of problems are they solving in analytics. Analytics is so interesting. The kind of problems that we people solve, it's like a story. You hear about the problems that a particular industry is facing, and then the industry person can walk you through the entire journey of how they solve that problem. So it's very exciting. It's very captivating. All of that experience often is lost in recorded lectures that many portals have today. So if you're really serious, I think you should show some commitment and go for a dedicated live interactive course, if possible, classroom. If not, because of the current environment, go for live interactive sessions wherever they are. And please check if the trainers, they have industry background. If the institute has an industry background or not, or do they work with industry? Do they have any kind of industry affiliation for that matter? All of these things is what you should check.
Okay, sir. So thank you. My next question is, as we are at the very grassroots levels of data science right now, what all mini projects could we undertake to get an hands-on experience with this?
There are many projects that you can do. Okay, it depends on where your interests would lie, and there is a good website called Kaggle.com where you would have a lot of data sets available. Okay, and those data sets are put by people who are in this industry, who are trying to find different versions or ways to solve the same problem. So you should look at those data sets, do your own analysis, go back, check what others have done. So multiple ways you can use Kaggle is one, data sets that you and the problem statements. Two, you can look at what others have done and pick and choose how and improve your solution based on that. And three, it will tell you how much more should you need or you need to learn. And you would be able to use or take data sets from any field that you want. It could be HR, it could be marketing, it could be operations, it could be finance. It could be any field that you would want, and there will be data sets available out there. It could be healthcare, or it could be insurance. So even media, arts, any of those fields. So pick a field that you think you would be more interested in solving a problem for. Go out there, figure out a data set, and just start solving using that data set. So multiple problems are available out there. Whatever you fancy, you should be able to do that.
Okay, thank you, sir. My next question is there a possibility for job replacement due to AI dominance or any other factor? And if so, how do we stay relevant to the industry or to the market?
Sure. So as I said sometime back, and I liked when Ayush or Ashwin, one of them, talked about subject being very important. I would put the first, the highest weightage to the subject knowledge, right? So if you know your industry well, your subject well, you will always be relevant in the market. Remember that. Having worked in the industry for 15, 20 years, I have worked more than the others, 25 years. Every day is a learning, right? You keep adding to your knowledge bank and stay relevant. So I would say staying relevant is more to do with the subject, of course, followed by new tools, new technologies, whether it's for running the programs or whether it's dashboarding. They will keep, new tools will keep coming up, and you need to be abreast of what's happening in the industry. Just the way we did, right? 15 years, 20 years back, we were happy. I was a star because I knew Excel well. Now, maybe Ashwin, if I tell you I am an expert in Excel, he will say next, please. Because everybody is an expert in Excel, right? He wants expertise in his company for some, somebody who knows Python, somebody who knows R, somebody who has solid knowledge of statistics. So my answer is simple, that if you have to stay relevant in an industry, I know this is not a very analytics relevant answer, but if you have to stay relevant in the industry, you need to be learning every day and applying those new tools and new learnings every day, and you'll be relevant. So you don't really have to worry.
So actually, this question about replacement of jobs comes in every time there's a new technology out there. Okay, this came in. I'm pretty sure Rishi would have been there when computers came in the banks, and people were there talking, "Hey, we don't want computers in the banks. They will replace our jobs." What actually happens is your jobs are not getting replaced, but there is some other kind of job opportunity that starts coming up. So there is no replacement of jobs. There is just shifting of jobs that is happening from one particular role to another role. Okay, so this apprehension of welcoming or welcoming a new technology is a little misguided. We should not be. We should think how we can utilize that technology to make it advantageous for us. How we can make sure that routine tasks are not what we are wasting our time on, but rather trying to solve problems, complex problems, where it would be the effort would be worth it. Start doing those things, and then we would start seeing that how technology is not making our lives useless, but more meaningful. It would put us more product. It would make us more productive and more use our time more efficiently.
So very true, very true. I'll just add a fact from history. Most of you are not from the 80s, but in 1980s we had a prime minister called Rajiv Gandhi who said all our systems should now be computerized, especially banking. And there were riots. Unions went on strike because they said we don't want computers. Yeah, because all bankers will lose their jobs. And see what happened 20 years later. Today, bankers get one of the highest salaries. But in those days, people were afraid that we lose our jobs. So don't introduce computers. So I think I very strongly agree with Ayush that you can't be saying that a new technology or AI or something is going to suddenly push you out of a job. It can, but you have to stay relevant. And you can't avoid new technology coming in or new systems coming in. You have to fight. You have to be there and accept that.
Thank you, sir. So my next question is, I would like to know about how you entered into this field. What is your story? How did you know this is your calling? Because at the time you did this, I don't think data science was a buzzword. So how did you navigate your way into this?
Okay, all three of us are supposed to answer this.
We would like to.
Okay, so I think I kind of answered this question some time back that analytics was always there. It's just a buzzword now, right? Last 25 years that I've been working in my organization, there has been analytics. So in our company, we solve clients' problems. And many of the problems are solved based on what data we have, right? It's same like a patient going to a doctor and he says, hey, doctor, I'm not feeling well. Doctor will say, so what can I do? You tell me what's your problem. So the patient gives you a set of data. It pains me here, it pains me in my stomach, it pains me in my head. And therefore, the doctor analyzes and gives a solution. Similarly, in consulting, the client is asked for a lot of data from his operations, from his books, financial books. And based on that, we do we used to do a lot of analytics. We may not have called it analytics, but we were always cracking, analyzing data with whatever tools we had then. And based on that, we would give answers. It's just that it has got a better kind of definition now. As my team, as my colleague said, there are better tools to do it. And there is a science behind all this now, which earlier was kind of informal. So that's my answer to how I learned and how did I get into data science. All of us in some form are already there, and that's the reason we encourage you to study further, whether it's offline or class or through books, whatever. But it will be required every day. I can tell you that. Sorry, over to the next.
Sure. Yeah. So I think the journey has been pretty similar to what Rishikesh has mentioned for most of us in the industry today. People who, we like I started 15 years back, and again, just like Rishikesh and also like Ayush, we started with management consulting. So consulting is when organization is going through some kind of problem, they would call in external experts who would come and look at the data and tell them solution. like a doctor for companies. And when what started happening over the last few years is that a lot of consulting has become data driven. A lot of decisions within an organization have become data driven decisions. So if I'm running a retail store, for example, 20 years back, I would decide that, hey, which city should I open my store in, purely based on my hunch, or purely based on just that, hey, I know someone there, let me open a store in Delhi, and rather than opening a second store in Mumbai, or let me open a store in, say, Indore. But today, all of these decisions are data driven. And that was the shift that we really saw over the last 15, 20 years, that the decisions that a company started taking were all data based, and our success rate in giving the right or more accurate solution also depended on how deeply we leverage the existing data that the company had. So that really kind of transformed our own role into analytics. So we started out as management consultant, helping companies solve problems, but we started using so much of data that we never realized that we became part of this whole new field that has emerged called analytics and data science. So that's really has been the transition.
Yeah, very similar to Rishi, Ashwin. Actually, people used to call it statistical analysis when they started off, and then it became analysis, and then now it's become analytics, data science, whatever you call it. If you can get meaning out of data and then use that to solve the business problem, I think whatever you may call it, tomorrow it may be called something even more fancier. It is still solving a client's problem, okay, or the organization's problem. If we can do that, leverage data to solve those problems, I think we are good to go. And the journey has been very similar. You start out solving problems. The tools and the technologies and the methods to solve those problems have evolved. We've evolved with it, and that is all that has happened. And it has got to do with how technology has also evolved. Earlier companies were trying to gather data. They were putting in systems to gather data. Now they have the data, so we can analyze it. It is we are not evolving in vacuum. It's the complete business cycle that's evolving, the technological cycle that's evolving. You have to evolve with that, and it will be very similar to your also. Let's say you enter today. Today Python might be the most relevant language that you're learning, or the relevant tool that you're using. 15 years down the line, there might be something else completely out there. And you may have to reskill yourself so that you are relevant or you understand. But the ability to solve problems is not going to go away. That will still remain. The tool will change. So that's it.
And it ties back very well with the previous question where we were when this whole worry about artificial intelligence or analytics or automation is going to take away the jobs. If Rishikesh, me, Ayush, if we had stayed as an Excel analyst, like we were many years back, we would have been all out of jobs. Over the last 15, 20, 25 years, we have picked up skills that were required for us to do a better job of whatever job we were doing. And that's how we got really trained into analytics. But if we had stayed the same spreadsheet worker that we were 15, 20 years back, and don't get us wrong, Rishikesh, me and Ayush, we still are very good in Excel. We can, we were very good Excel analysts, but we are no longer just that. We had to pick up all these different skills on the way in order to do the job better. Not because we wanted to learn these skills, but these skills were required in order to do our job better. And that's going to continue in the future as well. 15 years from now, I'm sure we will not be talking about R and Python and Power BI and ClickView. There would be other things. And maybe some of these skills would get redundant, or there might be better technology. So it's an evolving role, and that's how it is going to be for all of you who are interested in joining this sector.
So since we're running out of time, I'm clubbing 3 questions together. I'm sorry for that. My first question is, what would you suggest? Should we have a job experience before pursuing masters? My second question is, the importance of educational background into paving way for this field. Like, since you are IIT and IIM alumnus, do you think you had an advantage of that? And my last question is, could we have a comparative analysis of taking an education or having a job in India or in abroad, let's say in US? I hope I'm clear.
Yeah, sure. So I'll start off with this. So first of all, as I said earlier, analytics is a very skill-based job. I don't think any degree, any really, any BTech, MTech, BSc, MSc really exists that would really make you capable or train you for everything that you need to know, need to learn to do this job. It is a culmination of different skill sets that are required. No particular course really gets you there. So even if you do get any degree, there would be a certain level of skill set that you'll have to acquire once you join a job or once you really are preparing yourself to get into the sector. Now, you also asked. So what was the first part of the question? Can you say that again?
The importance of having a job experience before pursuing masters.
Yeah, so I always prefer real industry experience over anything. And that is the best teacher. Once you are doing the work in a company, you have certain deadlines. You need to solve the problem. You're not reading up or learning theory that doesn't really matter. So and you're going to optimize your solution until it becomes a practical solution for the client to implement. So that is the best learning that one can have. So even if someone goes for a formal learning, as I said earlier, you have to go with someone who's industry affiliated, who's closely working with industry. Any academic institution who's working very closely with industry to customize their course and customize their training in order to solve real industry problems. So that has to be there. In terms of some background having an advantage or not, IIT IIM, the reason why people feel that they have an advantage is because they always hear about these people working in very good roles and very good companies. Now, the thing is that oftentimes people from certain background are more flexible in changing their stream, in changing their field than many others. I'm a chemical engineer by my education. Ayush is an industrial engineer. We shifted gears, we shifted our industries just because we saw that the skills that we have can be upgraded and can be put to better use in a different sector. And I think as long as people have that kind of flexibility, as long as they keep their minds open in order to learn new things and to really enter a completely new sector, new field without hesitation, without fear, I think no background is an advantage and no background is a disadvantage.
And what was the third part of the question?
Comparative analysis between Indian setup and abroad setup for education or for job experience.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. Somebody is working in India as opposed to somebody is not working in India. It is not a job experience driven question. Those are mostly social, your social expectations that you have. You don't want to stay in a particular location as opposed to somewhere else. The kind of problems that you solve will always be dependent on which company that you are solving those problems for. It's either going to be dependent on the company that you join or the company that you're going to solve problems for, your clients. It has got nothing to do with location. If solving problems is the criteria, if your social likability to a certain location, whether you want to stay here versus there, then those are very personal questions, and I think it would be unfair to judge people whether staying in India you will be solving not so good problems as opposed to somewhere else where you'll be solving good problems, where location has got nothing to do with the kind of job or the job satisfaction or the kind of problems that you're going to solve. Rishi?
Yeah, I'll continue with your last answer. Personally, I would say that India is a better place. the scale of challenge, the complexity, I think you can do much more here if you really find the right challenge or the right place to work. Is the way I feel. And working, whether you should work in India or US, is purely based on the subject, as he just said. It's nothing to do with UK or US or India. But if you see the scale and if you see the level of data, etc., someday I can tell you India will be the best place to work in, especially in this field, because of the size and complexity. And going to the second or the first question that Ashwin answered, I strongly believe in this concept of number of hours of experience, right? So the more you work in an industry, the better it is. And you all know this. I'll give you a few examples. Like a pilot, a good pilot is the one who has done 1,000 hours, 2,000 hours, 3,000 hours of flying. Why? Because he just gets that experience. I know he has read a lot of books, but the key there is how has he managed, implement. When he actually flies a plane, he learns when he's on the job. Similarly, a doctor, a good doctor is again a doctor who has hours and hours of experience. He has seen many patients, and therefore he is able to quickly analyze and quickly recommend the right solution or surgery or medicines. So I would strongly agree to what Ashwin said, that industry, there's nothing to replace industry experience. Yes, you need to do a course or college because you have to understand the basics. But after that, nothing to beat the industry experience, because the kind of real work you do there, where clients are sitting on your head, clients are looking for answers, solutions, and you have to give those. It's not like college. Yeah, I have to give something to the professor and get 80 out of 100 marks. That's all I have to do. That's not the case in real world. Right? You have to solve a problem. Others will be soon kicked out. So those are my points.
Yeah, and then now everybody will start asking, oh, we are freshers, where do we get industry experience? Guys, the answer is simple: internships. Do as many as you can throughout your course. Paid, unpaid does not matter. Get as much internship experience as you can. Very helpful in the field of your choice. Do those, and that'll be your stepping stone to your career.
Oh, thank you, sir. So I'll start asking questions that the students have asked. The first question here is, if you were to select a candidate for data-related work, who will you prefer? Someone from statistics or analytics background, or someone who is an engineer and got into data work?
Okay. Recently, we hired somebody who is bachelor's of business administration to do analytics, and we did not hire people who were from who had a computer engineering or a technical background or even a statistics background. The reason was simple: the person had the attitude to solve problems, was willing to learn fast, and during the interview process could convince us that yes, they would be up to solving any problem. So I really don't think that we are going to be putting so much, so much dependence on what your educational qualification is. We would like to know what is it, but once you are in the interview, I want to see whether do you have the ability to solve a problem. Are you up to solve that problem? For solving that problem. Otherwise, it's just that you are good on paper. It won't translate to anything.
The next question is, do you guys use any auto machine learning tools in your production pipeline? Should I repeat again?
No. Understood. Thank you. So, auto machine learning. So for those who don't know, I'm going to give a little bit more background before I get into the answer. Okay. So a typical analytics project starts from collecting data from the client. Then you have to do some data preparation because there will be a lot of data that's not good. You'll have to prepare the data. So you remove a lot of inconsistencies in the data, make sure everything is consistent, and then you run models on the data. Okay, it could be any kind of model. It could be a regression model. It could be a forecasting model. It could be anything, any predictive model. And then there would be implementation of that model. Okay, it's simple 4-step process. Of course, it's not as simple as it sounds. But what AutoML machines do, AutoML softwares do, is they make what kind of machine learning model to use after you've done data cleaning or data preparation. What kind of it makes that an automated job. If you want to forecast something, there are 15 different forecasting techniques. It will tell you, you know what, these two have the best accuracy. We can do that. It will be a simple drag and drop operation that somebody has to do. Okay, and these are very good tools to have. We do not use them because we believe in the methods that we've developed over the years are very industry ready, have been implemented in the industry for a long time, and are have been validated by the industry. Okay, so we have been using our own proprietary methods for that ML step that comes in when you are creating those models. However, it's a good starting step for somebody who wants to learn. It is always good for somebody who is new to this industry to use those kind of softwares to get the hang of what's happening. It makes you familiar with the terminology and all of those things. So it's a good starting step to have.
Okay, so the last question for today is, from an industry point of view, if you could go back to your university days, which programming language would you start with, and what aspect of it will you focus more on? Data structures, visualization, organization, or building algorithms?
I think, Shraddha, you should answer this question after whatever we've talked about today. I think you should take a shot. What do you think?
Yeah, so what I think is we should immerse ourselves out there in the market and then be up to date with the scenario and the trend that's happening, because it's going to stay relevant no matter what, how much you try. So as long as we don't go out there, we can't say what we are acquiring now will be relevant in the future.
Yeah, Rishi, Ashwin?
Yeah, I will end with my ending comments, concluding comments. I would use some philosophical statements here that all these are, as I said some time back, are basics. But if you have to go ahead in life, you need to have love for that subject. If you love numbers, if you love analytics, yeah, be passionate and go ahead with that. So the question also that was asked, that what kind of employees do we take, whether Ashwin, Ayush, or in my company, we of course look at the CV, but when we meet the person, we are not asking him, hey, go and crack this problem, right? Or solve this problem, show me how will you do a dashboard. No, we look at his emotional quotient, we look at his intelligence in some way. We want to study how passionate he is, how hardworking and committed he is. That's what we need. So today, when we are recruiting, we also look at a lot of these soft aspects rather than just mathematics and statistics and which program have you learned. Yeah. So in other words, I'm trying to say, be in love with what you want to do, whether it's the subject or whether it's that program or whether it's the industry that you want to work in.
Yeah.
So one more question from my side for the end. As you mentioned, soft skills. As you mentioned, soft skills. What are your suggestions about acquiring them? How should we go about it?
Okay. There is no easy way out. Okay. soft skills, even though they have the word soft in it, are the most hardest to learn. Okay, it takes years and years of either dedicated or subconscious learning that will happen. That will make, and it is the most important aspect in an interview. Okay, it is considered a default that everybody is very good in English when you are taking an interview. So when you are not, it will show up that, oh, this person cannot communicate properly. Soft skills, not only language, but also body language, everything matters in an interview. Because when you're sitting in front of any interviewer, all they're looking is how are you responding to this question? Either through language or through body language. Your communication happens. And all of these things are very, very important. I would go, after attitude, soft skills matter the most. And then all these other skills that we were talking about for the last 1 hour, they would come third. Soft skills are very important. So, habit of reading, writing, summarizing whatever you've read are very good places to start. The ability to hold a conversation with people who you don't know. It doesn't have to be on the roads with anybody, but just that you have the general knowledge of what's happening around, because that is what people will be talking about. In India, they are either always talking about cricket, politics, or Bollywood. That's okay. Even if you have knowledge about these 3 subjects, you will be able to talk to 80% of the people in India. Okay, so things like these, you need to be relevant not only by skills but also by the news that's happening around you. You need to be relevant on those levels also. You need to be reading about things that are happening in the in the world, things around you. That is how you would have conversations with people around you, or even conversations in an interview. Sometimes interviews are not at all focused on what you've studied or what you've not studied, but it may be completely on what is your perspective of certain things that have happened in the world or in a country, and you have no clue sometimes where your conversation would go, and this is true for interviews, getting into a school or getting into a job, at any place. So you have to be relevant by skills, also by soft skills. Keep this distinction in your head, and it is very, very important. Okay, Rishi and Ashwin have way more experience than me, and I'm pretty sure let's hear their views.
So the first thing is that I'd like the previous question as well, that what would we change? What should we have learned a programming language 15 years back, 20 years back? I would not have changed a thing. I don't think we would have been doing any better a job today if we knew any particular technical skill any better than what we already know. So none of that things matter. None of that should matter. Really. What matters is how the journey has been, how we adapted based on the kind of problems that we were solving. And that is going to be the key for you guys as well. It doesn't matter whether you guys any of you can do a better job at R programming or Python programming or statistics or Power BI or Tableau. It doesn't matter. As long as you have a basic understanding of it, as long as you can use it, and as long as you can understand the other person who is working on that tool, I think that is what matters. Your key focus area has to be business. All of us have to be better at solving the business problem, which means that understanding the context in which the problem has arisen and what are the factors that go into solving this problem, and then solving those. Data science is just a tool that helps you solve this. Soft skills, the reason why it matters more is ultimately you have to communicate to the client. No matter how good a solution you have devised, if you're not able to convince the CEO or your client in order to use it, it is all useless. So that's why soft skills matter. Attitude matters way more, because often you are going to be solving a problem that the client organization is not able to solve itself. So you're going to be looking at a problem that they have developed on. And hence, attitude plays a big role, because you have to keep yourself motivated, read up, figure out something, and then optimize the solution to the extent that they would get convinced. So different things matter. I think it's less about technical skills. It's more about how you train your mind to really be useful in no matter what business you're dealing with.
So I guess we'll wind up with the Q&A session, and now Rishita will proceed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, we can't hear you, Rishita. Hey, we can't hear you.
Rishita, you're not audible.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yes.
I'm so sorry for the glitch. I said I'll keep it short, and I would like to extend a formal vote of thanks on behalf of the analytics cell and the entire NMIMS Navi Mumbai management. I'd like to thank each one of our three speakers for stepping their valuable experience into whatever mentions we've had, silly or technical. Um I'm sure I speak for the entire people in attendance right now when I say the path seems a little more clearer now. There's still a long way to go, but I'm sure we all have taken a step in the right direction, and this has been a great guiding experience for us. I'd also want to thank Kushal and the entire team at Mad Over Data for facilitating this whole event, and I hope this collaboration is just the beginning of many more such events, which are going to be great. And also, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge our own management for having supported us and encouraged us to, always learn more and so higher. And definitely the biggest thank you and congratulations to my team at Analytics Cell. Gargi, Prerna, Snehal, Mariam, Shraddha, Ashvi, Vinita, right from the proposals to putting this thing together to, doing the PR, all of those, it's all your hard work. So none of this would have happened without you. Thank you. And lastly, the biggest thank you to our audience for pulling out time after their long day of classes and for being patient and attentive listeners. We hope you're taking something valuable from this event, much like we have, and continue to support us in our future endeavors. Also, a shout out to our juniors. This is probably the first event they're attending after they've started college. So, good luck from our side. And once again, a big thank you to Ayush sir, to Ashwin sir, and Rishikesh sir. It's been a great honor talking to you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
One small note to all the attendees. Ashvi will now be sending a link from Google Forms. This is for your participation certificates. So please make sure that you fill that form so we have a record of who's attended and we can mail your certificates in due time.
Kushal, we can't hear you.
Hey, thank you, everybody. So see you. See you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Guys, all of the attendees, please make sure that you fill that form. If you haven't filled that form, we will not be able to mail your certificates to you. So it's very important. Please make sure that you fill it.
Sure, thank you.
Rishita,
Yeah.
what are we supposed to write in the current year section?
Second year, no? You're in second year.
No, I got confused by that.
Okay,
Thanks.
it's your year of education. So if it's your
Okay.
first year in college, then you write first year, second year, and so on.
Yeah, got it.
Ara, juniors here?
Thanks.
Yes.
Yes.
So, do you have any suggestions, or how are you finding your first year right now?
It's good. Very good.
It's pretty good right now.
And where are you all from?
I'm from Delhi.
I'm from Thane.
It would be great if you could put your videos on so that we could introduce each other. You are from School of Science, right?
Yes.
Is there anyone from other schools here?
I think there was someone from MBA Tech.
Yeah. So you all are taking part for your orientation, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I think we'll meet
So
you more formally
you
then,
like
but
the
this is just
event?
an
Yeah.
unofficial hi.
how did you find this event? Was it beneficial?
Yes,
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah.
Pranjal, you look so bored.
I
I'm
can't see
sleeping
everyone.
That's actually how he always looks.
Yeah,
That's his
that's
normal face.
मैंने पहले भी बोला था ऐसे मत बैठ.
Ray, that is how I am.
All right then. So we'll be having more of such events. It would be great if you would become a part, and we'll meet you
And I
formally
think
in the
we'll
orientation.
also very soon open up member applications. We're not entirely sure how that will work yet, but you will receive, information regarding the same very soon. And we hope to see a lot of you join the back end of our team and, sort of put these things together as well.
Also, they are applying for analytics cell. When is the deadline of submission of SOPs?
It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, next Wednesday.
So
Yeah,
they'll
next
apply
Wednesday.
for analytics cell.
Right, come on.
So welcome, guys. I think we'll give you a more formal, orientation or whatever that is when it's scheduled. But this is just an unofficial way of saying hi to all of you and welcome aboard.
Hello.
Hope you survived just fine.
I've
Guys.
submitted the form. Okay.
Okay, and what are others?
Guys, please apply to the analytics cell.
I think we'll wind up the session now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.